raising excitement in the icy lair of man-like creatures roaming the roof of the world. Connie Haywood mounts an expedition into the Himalayan mountains looking for her brother, who has not returned from a previous trek trying to locate the Yeti, or abominable snowman. Welcome to Sasquatch Cinema, the podcast where we talk about movies starring the Bigfoot, the Yeti, and all types of ape men. We're going to be focusing on the Yeti this week with our next feature, Man Beast, from 1956. But before we do that, how's it going, Isaac? You doing okay over there?
I'm doing alright.
How much Kong have you been playing?
Kong? Oh, 0. Yeah. The other game that you saw me play last week, Hollow Knight, is what I was playing.
Oh, Hollow Knight.
But I've only been able to play that a little bit, like about 2 hours, every 2 hours or so, each, like, and out of 3 days of this week. So,
I mean, sort of cryptid related, like, if there's a moth god, then that's basically Mothman, you know?
What have you been up to besides work?
You know, other than work, the most squatchy thing that I have been interacting with this week has been the films of Motern Media. If you're not aware, I mean, Isaac has been aware because I've been ranting to him about Motern Media recently and how much I like them. They always, so it's this small production company from up in, I think, Massachusetts is where it is. And so they always have like cryptids in their movies for some reason, even if it's like, it's never Bigfoot. And it's never anything that you've actually heard of. It's always like mixing things together. Like there's a ghost in one, so like that's the most normie version of things, right? But then there's another one where they have trogs, and the trogs are basically guys in ghillie suits. And then there's their most famous feature, which is Don't Let the River Beast Get You, where there's, you know, a river beast. It is described in the movie as the river beast is part ape and part reptile and part I don't know. And Motern Media has a lot of stuff that features like cryptids and stuff like that. I actually talked a little bit to the producer and writer of most of their stuff, Matt Farley. Farley was telling me that there's not really a reason any of that is in there. It's just that him and his directing partner, Charlie Roxburgh, they've just always been interested in cryptids and the paranormal and stuff. So if you guys have the chance, please go check out Matt Farley's stuff over at moternmedia.com. They have great stuff over there, and Matt's just a genuinely awesome human being.
This is so Man Beast is from what, 1950 what?
56.
56.
Yeah.
So a couple years after The Snow Creature, I believe, because it was 53.
Yeah.
So a couple years after that, what are some fun facts about this movie?
We've got a lot to talk about. So, Man Beast is, as you mentioned, from 1956. It is directed by a guy named Jerry Warren. And Jerry Warren, I have just put down here, is an exploitationeer. He does all the exploitation stuff. He directed a bunch of exploitation movies. He re-edited some foreign movies and shot some additional footage for American release. So he's just one of those guys that was out there between the 50s and the 80s just grinding, just doing things mostly for the money of it. It does seem that early on in his career, he did have some actual creative ambition, but he is most well known, at least on Letterboxd here, for Teenage Zombies, which I've heard about before. It's supposed to be, you know, so bad it's good as a classic, you know. And then he also directed a movie called The Wild World of Batwoman from 1956, which is a Batman ripoff.
Yeah.
Basically, he saw Batman on TV, and he was like, that's popular. I should just do that. and so he changed Batman to Batwoman, and had her, instead of having Robin as her sidekicks, she had a bunch of women in bikinis named the Batgirls.
So she has a harem.
Yeah, she has a harem.
Yeah,
basically.
she has a harem.
So they go around fighting crime. And
as women with harems do.
Yes, you know, out there. but yeah, so they're going around fighting crime and stuff. He actually got sued by DC,
Obviously, yeah.
So he had to re-release the movie under a different title. She was a hippie vampire.
So why do we know it now as the Batwoman title instead of that?
Well, it was originally released as The Wild World of Batwoman, and there still exists a trailer for the original version. So I guess historically we just went back to it. DC probably backed off because they realized it was such garbage, after it sort of became a cult hit. It is still very badly regarded though. I think on IMDb it's got a 1.8 out of 10, which is really bad.
That's pretty bad. What about Letterboxd?
I'm gonna pull that up. It has a 2.0.
2.0. That's actually kind of interesting. Okay, that means people probably found it as so bad it's good, or find ironic enjoyment of it.
Yeah, but this was Jerry Warren's first feature. He made Man Beast in 1956. He says basically the reason that he did that is the Abominable Snowman thing was popular, and so he thought, well, what a good way to sort of get my career jump started, just jump on this bandwagon.
Well, in the 1950s, I don't know if you did this in your research, was the Yeti just a popular myth at the time?
Yeah, I think it was just kind of organically just became more popular. I think they had discovered footprints back in the early 20th century, and I think they sort of had continued doing so, or maybe some books were written. Suffice to say, it had become a popular enough story. We're covering 3 movies that really came out between a span of 4 or 5 years. That really does say something. We probably could cover more during this time period. I think even some Asian companies like Toho actually got into the Yeti thing and had some kaiju movies that featured the Yeti. So that is a major thing in the 50s for some reason.
I just looked it up. Mount Everest was first ever officially climbed to its peak in 1953.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
So the Himalayas were in the public viewing at that time because in 1953, the Himalayas were finally conquered.
This movie was written by B. Arthur Cassidy, who has no other credits.
Yeah, I saw that on Letterboxd too. It was just oh.
And from the research that I found out, it's probably Jerry Warren. He wrote most of his features later on under the
pen names.
Under a particular pen name of Jacques Lecoutier, which sometimes was misspelled in his own credits. But I kind of figured that this is probably just an early pen name, to be honest. This is a real shoestring budget, so it would make sense for that. I mean, Jerry Warren at some point said that the budget on this was half of what a normal low-budget picture would be, so it was just very, very, very low budget.
Out of curiosity, we don't always talk about these people, but who edited this film? Does it credit any editor?
We have James Sweeney. He worked on several projects with the Three Stooges and seems to have done some more sort of Columbia shorts. He's most well known for editing a movie called Men in Black. That's a Three Stooges feature. I don't know why I didn't remember that.
That's not Men in Black from the 90s with Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. The Three Stooges Men in Black.
Yeah, actually, I've seen this movie, and it is exceptionally good. Partially because it's directed by Ray McCary, brother of Leo McCary, a well-loved Three Stooges director who I think had a real violent streak to his Three Stooges shorts. It's kind of interesting. But he also edited a movie called Gun Fury, and he edited the first ever Three Stooges short, Woman Haters.
Interesting. So a Three Stooges editor is I guess probably in his almost late career stage of editing a B movie.
Oh yeah, because I mean, he would have been working on the Three Stooges in like the mid-30s.
Yeah, so
He's
here he
had
is in
like
the 50s.
at least a 20-year career already.
Yeah, well, that's kind of sad. He just kind of tanked his career.
But like, I don't know. We talked a little bit about the editing in here, and like some of it is not bad. Some of it is.
That's why I wanted to
rough.
know, because there's a few edits that's like, Now, I will give you an interesting historical thing that is kind of sad. So, historically, women actually were the editors.
Yeah.
But men were often credited with that role. Like, a man would be the quote unquote lead editor, and he would be the only name mentioned. But most of the time, it's the women. And the reason why they were editors, they had more delicate hands and smaller hands, so they could work with the film more delicately. But they were never most of them were never credited. There are a few women editors who were credited, but most of them weren't. And I'm not going to discredit some of the guys who edited. I'm not saying this guy did that.
Oh yeah, of course.
But I am saying that there's a possibility that his name was just used for a woman editor of this film, because sometimes that did happen. They were credited as lead editors, and well, maybe there's one or two women working underneath him who are actually editing the film, and he just approves of the things that happen.
Sure, I mean that would make a little sense for sure.
That's just giving some good cinema history for those who don't know, and maybe if you're a cinema buff and you didn't know that, like I was a big cinema guy and I learned that in film school. Of like, oh, women were originally the editors. And that's also kind of why we see a lot of famous directors like Martin Scorsese who married their editors.
Yeah, so, yeah, exactly.
So that's also another interesting, like, just fun fact about films.
For sure. So let's talk a little bit about the actors here.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing about the actor.
And that's how we're going to start out. The top credited actor is a guy named Rock Madison, who might not be in the movie. So he is the character that he's credited for does not show up in the movie. And it was
is it Jim?
No, he's just not in the movie.
He's not in the movie.
Yeah, it's Lon something, which makes me think that probably he was supposed to be an Asian guy or something like that.
Oh, was he cut out of the film or something?
No, I think he. Let's get to this because it is interesting. Rock Madison does not exist and maybe wasn't in the movie. So some used to say that he was actually the guy in the Yeti costume. We know now that the person in the Yeti costume was actually Jerry Warren's then girlfriend. Brianne Murphy was a cinematographer, most notedly.
Interesting.
She actually worked on the Dom DeLuise feature Fatso, as well as the Little House on the Prairie movie Look Back to Yesterday.
Okay.
So she was a cinematographer on those things.
Interesting.
But before that, Jerry Warren hired her for $50 a week to do hair, makeup, props, stills, and to handle the script. You know, they used to call them script girls. Nowadays, we would probably call them continuity.
Continuity or script supervisors is
script supervisor.
Script supervisor is their role now, and their job is to make sure that the script is being followed and make sure the continuity of the shots match the script and what the script describes, and also works with the director to talk about like scripting and make sure that the dialogue is matching up.
So she did several like really important things on this, again for $50 a week.
And how long did they shoot this?
I don't know. It cannot have been long.
Because, okay, in the 1950s, $50 a week, just that for inflation, that's almost like $200 a week.
Yeah, so like,
I mean, for how much she was doing, that's way too low.
Oh yeah,
because she was doing so many things and stuff. Because I've worked on like film sets and earning about $200 a week, and it's, if you're not doing a lot and you're just kind of doing some pretty simple PA stuff, like production assistant stuff, it's not that bad. Yeah. But if you're doing like hair, script supervisor, being in the costume, doing all that stuff,
Yeah.
and you're only getting $50. No, it's
Yeah.
not worth it. It's not worth it.
She's doing so much.
Yeah, so much for so little is what I think we're trying to point out. It's like that's she deserved to be paid more.
Exactly. And so later she came out and said that she wore the suit in some scenes. However, she says that she couldn't fit into some parts of the costume. So does this mean that either Rock Madison or somebody else wore the costume in some other scenes? Hard to say. Um, but I want Rock Madison to be the guy in the Yeti suit some of the time, mostly because his name is awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, but there's the high possibility that Rock Madison just never existed and they used his name to pad out the credits to make it look like there were more people in the movie than there were. I mean, this
Very
mattered
possible.
back in the day, apparently. And Rock Madison's a really cool name,
Yeah.
you know, if you're going to have a hero character or something, but.
Was Rock Hudson becoming somewhat popular during this time?
Oh, yeah, sure. Rock
Then
Hudson.
that's probably why they named him Rock Madison, so to remind people of a better actor.
Yeah.
A real actor who exists.
So to round out the cast, we have Tom Maruzzi in our lead. He only starred in this, wrote a movie called The Silent Call. We have as our leading lady Asa Maynor, also known as Virginia Maynor. She's in Conquest of the Planet of the Apes and a movie called The Loved One. We also have George Scaff as Varda, our aforementioned villain, who is in the John Carpenter TV film Someone's Watching Me, and a personal favorite of mine, Frogs.
Frogs.
Uh,
This actor, he also looks like Roy from the Blade Runner film.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. He's definitely got that look. And as mentioned before, Brienne Murphy as the Yeti. The Yeti suit itself is actually a reworked gorilla suit from the film White Pongo, PRC film, possibly made by Crash Corrigan. It's definitely the one that was worn by Crash Corrigan as the White Pongo in that movie. And that's not the only thing that they reused. It's filled with footage from some old Poverty Row pictures, from Allied artists, and uh, Monogram. But it also has stuff from a Mexican film that was sort of never came to fruition. Warren also captured footage in Bronson Cavern and rented the Key West studios, and so used a lot of those things as locations.
And with that, we're getting into the plot synopsis.
Yes.
So spoilers ahead. If you want to watch this movie, it's available on Tubi, Amazon Prime, and probably YouTube. I believe it's public domain. Is it public? Yes, public domain. So it's available anywhere public domain films are available. So give it a watch if you want to. Before we get into spoilers, our movie starts with some opening narration over the view of mountains, maybe Himalayas, maybe not. We don't know.
Almost certainly some of the stock footage.
Probably stock footage of the Rockies, most likely, as I have a feeling that even if this was borrowed stock footage from the Mexican film,
Yeah,
it probably was borrowed from like the Rockies, because the Rockies run way down into Mexico, if people don't realize that. So anyways, it opens with some narration and ending on the line, I don't remember the exact line, but man beast, and our title crawl. And our movie starts with us with two main characters, our lead actress and her boyfriend, come to a base camp, where they talk to, I think, a Chinaman and a man named Cameron.
Hold on.
Wait,
you can't use Chinaman.
I can't say Chinaman anymore.
Chinaman is not an acceptable term. It should be, but it's not. They meet a Chinese man.
Chinese man who is who doesn't seemingly know much English, and they're asking for the late Connie. There we go. Remember her name. Connie's brother Jim.
Apparently, he has gone missing. off with his lead Varga, and
they're also looking for a doctor named Dr. Erickson as well.
yes, and so they sort of continue on looking for these people after a spooky night where they're hanging around and talking to each other while they're all wrapped up in blankets and stuff. Ooh, spooky.
So they convince Cameron, who was the seemingly only American at this base camp at the foot of the Himalayas, to take them up the mountain to catch up with Jim and Dr. Erickson and their party. They catch up with them and they meet Dr. Erickson, and they signal them via gunshots.
Yes, they do signal them via gunshots. Shooting directly up into the air. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do that, please. Not advised. And we see best way to describe it, 1950s yellow face.
I was looking this guy up. His name is Jack Hafner. And it seems that he has only worked with Jerry Warren.
So must have been a friend of his.
He was a set decorator on Teenage Zombies and was an actor in this and The Incredible Petrified World.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it's a white guy dressed as a Mongolian in the snow. He speaks in sort of pidgin English, and it's not great. But anyway, he lets them know that Eric Erickson. Wow, his first name is Eric Erickson. I did not realize that.
I didn't realize that either. I thought they were calling him Eric. I was like, oh, just shortening his last name. No, that's just his name. So they meet up with them, and there's one other guy there who is not named. He's just some random
He's
guy.
a dude.
He's just a dude. And they meet up with them, and they join up together, and they start talking about the Yeti. And Dr. Eric Erickson, really wants to find a Yeti. Then they go to make it back to the campsite where Erickson and Jim had camped initially, and it's all torn up.
And so they're there looking around at this torn up section. When does Varda come into this now?
This is when Varga arrives. He returns to this camp after a night of them camping there.
That's right.
Varga randomly shows up, and Varga was the guide that brought Jim and Erickson up to the mountain. Now, again, since we're talking about, we've already mentioned a few very dated and very racist things. Varga is seemingly supposed to be probably like a Tibetan person, maybe. I don't know. They don't really allude to anything, but just to mention, Varga is a Spanish name, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And what is a Spaniard doing on the top of the Himalayas in 1956?
Yeah, we don't know. We do allude later that his mother was of Mongolian descent.
But that's what he says, yes.
Yes, but he's just a white guy. He discusses sort of where he had led Jim before and where he can lead them now. He's into a big old cave.
A cave, which we did not know was a cave at first because it's not said until after they visit this area.
Yeah, we just thought it was dark.
Yeah, it was just dark. And in this cave, they get attacked by a group of Yetis. And Hud, who is the boyfriend of Connie. Now, Hud is constantly complaining throughout the film about this trip and saying to everyone he's got this feeling that we should leave and get out of here, and they all dismiss him like, oh, he's just crazy or weird or being worried.
Yeah.
And Connie kind of breaks up with him over it.
Yeah.
In the middle of the trip, and then immediately swoons over Cameron, who she had low-key been supposedly flirting with and over the course of the film. And so they breaks up before him right before they go to this cave. And they go to the cave, and then Hud dies. He gets tossed off a cliff in the cave. Yeah. And so he dies because Cameron shot at a gun at one of the Yetis, but misses due to who we discover that Varga hits him with a log to knock him out.
Yeah.
And to prevent him from shooting one of the Yeti. So Varga is seemingly working with the Yetis.
But nobody else realizes that. Although Steve, when he comes, Steve Cameron's first name is Steve, by the way. When Steve comes to later, he becomes kind of suspicious of Varga because he felt the blow on the back of his head come from a place where he did not see a Yeti previously. Now, obviously, this assumes that he can see wherever a Yeti is, no matter if one creeps up behind him. But, the geography of the scene is not fantastic. Regardless, he becomes suspicious. So he's going to be talking to Connie about this. Connie also is suspicious and apparently does not mourn the death of her boyfriend Hud all that much.
Yeah.
In a better movie, this actually would have a little bit more of a love triangle, but
or an emotional impact.
Yeah, but we're gonna move on from that. Just pretend that HUD never existed.
We gotta get off this mountain.
Yeah, we gotta get off this mountain because one guy's died and a lot of other people have died under Varga's care. We learned they want to get off the mountain, but when they meet with Dr. Erickson is just like, no, I have lived my whole life to catch the Yeti and to get all this information down and to present it as a scientific fact. So I want to stay. And Varga comes in and basically supports that thought.
And takes them to the cave again. Well, before we get to that, there's two interesting things I want to highlight. So Steve Cameron, I'm going to call him Cameron because
that's fine.
Last names.
Cameron.
Cameron is with them, and then this is where the conversation about marriage and marrying somebody comes up, where we learn about Varga's supposed Mongolian history. He guides them, and then I believe he causes an avalanche.
Yes.
To kill Cameron. It doesn't succeed.
But they think that it does.
And he guides Erickson back forcibly to the cave.
It's important also to say that Connie was left behind at the base.
Yes, Connie was left behind. Not at the base. She was left behind at the base, but she escaped further down the mountain to meet up with Cameron later so they could escape together.
This is true.
But Erickson realizes that Vosh may not... Vosh. In my mind, I want to call him Vosh, but he's Varga. He's now suspicious of Varga and is afraid that Varga is going to kill him. So when they're rock climbing around and supposedly entering the cave, he sees Cameron, and from that moment, he sees that Cameron's still alive, has survived the avalanche, and then the movie hard cuts into a interesting conversation.
Yes, and it is very jarring. But strangely, the hard cut into this interesting conversation is maybe the best part of the movie. The interesting conversation is the best part of the movie.
It's a good scene. It's just that how we got there was this bam.
It is so ridiculously weird, which is why we talked about the editor of this movie.
Yeah,
clearly missed a mark there, but. We have this conversation between Varda and Dr. Erickson.
Yeah.
And strangely, Varda has his shirt open for some reason. And we see that his hair is all teased out and white, and that his eyebrows are all teased out and white. And he's talking about how he's half Yeti.
Yeah.
And so the woman with Mongolian descent is the Yeti, his mother. And so his father is just a dude. He is the slightly more advanced progeny of a Yeti woman and a male human.
He's the man beast.
Yeah! Yes. And so he is proving that the Yeti are, in fact, partially human.
Now he can mate with humans.
Yes. Now he has his own ideas about, we were talking about the whole, oh, you should get married, Varga. you have good stock or whatever that they were talking about in the tent. Well, that's where this comes back up again. Because that's what Varda is trying to do. He is trying to slowly blend the Yeti DNA with the human DNA to eventually make the full strain of Yetis just
Human.
plain human. He says that he's part of a fifth generation of this breeding on down the line, and he is going to try and hedge hop a couple new generations by getting with Connie. He has revealed his evil plan and also has revealed that he is going to kill Dr. Erickson,
In which he does.
which he does, yes.
He
Uh,
shoots Dr. Erickson and he dies.
yes, with what looked like a much more advanced handgun than the ones that they'd been carrying around. It looked like an automatic, which is
Yeah.
weird because they had just simply
A revolver,
revolvers
yeah.
before. And so apparently his gun just disappears after this
Yeah.
because he doesn't bring it back later.
No, he doesn't bring him down the mountain with him because we catch up with Connie, who is camped out waiting for Cameron, and Varga and a Yeti surprise her, and he's trying to Varga is trying to bring her back with him, but Cameron shows back up, and he shoots the Yeti to death, and then gets into a fist fight with Varga, and he wins by knocking Varga out. And then so Connie and him and Cameron escape down the mountain together. But then Varga wakes up and decides to propel down the mountain, and then suddenly his stake pops out of the rock he put it in, and he falls to his death.
And so the movie ends.
Yes, and that's where the movie ends.
Over more stock footage of the Rocky Mountains. The way that we talked about this kind of makes it sound like we didn't like this movie, to be honest.
Well,
But
so I consider this pure 50s B movie.
yeah.
And so I'll get into what I didn't like about the movie first, because there's a lot of things I liked about this movie.
Yeah.
But I want to get into what I didn't like. I did not like 90% of the acting.
Yeah.
The leading lady, she showed no emotion whatsoever. And that really irked me. Like we mentioned that she didn't even grieve over like HUD's death. That disturbs me because it's like you dated him for who knows how long.
Yeah.
He was willing to come with you halfway across the world to help you find your brother. And because he was being a little complainy, you break off with him on the middle of the trip. And you don't even mourn his death. And I think that there could have been subtlety in her acting, that like she was upset about this. She was sad that and upset that this guy she brought with him, it wasn't the man she thought he was, and stuff. But there's no performance in that. And also, the guy who plays HUD, he plays HUD more like he's an annoying guy rather than someone who's actually genuinely concerned for the safety of everybody. Cameron, he's all right. He's an okay actor.
He's fine.
Varga and
Which is
Erickson, I think, were both excellent actors in this
Yeah.
performance. They both play their parts exactly like they need to play. So
Serviceable.
And of course, another thing I don't like the editing.
That was a real negative. I do think like I want to give the editor like some element of props. Like there was a lot of stock footage in here.
And they did hide it well. There's shots where like, is that stock footage? I don't know if that's stock footage, because then it would cut into shots of the actual actors walking through snow of the Rocky Mountains, most likely. And I was like, oh, that actually seems like they blended it well. So to give the editors some credit, they did blended the stock footage and real footage very well.
But I mean, at the same time, I think I do have to agree with you. Like that hard cut is like so bad, and I don't know if that's because they lost elements on like television release, or if they lost elements in this transfer, or if it really is just the editor's fault. Like they lost some footage and they just hard cut it. Like the hard cut wouldn't even be all that good, even right from something that would make sense. Like, it's not a great
Yeah.
transit. It wouldn't be a great transition anyway. But like,
Like coming out of commercial from like Dr. Erson seeing Cameron still alive, cut to commercial, then cut back to from commercial. That's not a really good place to cut back from commercial.
certainly not.
Mm,
I think I mostly agree with you about the acting. To be fair, like some of this is maybe like just below baseline 50s B movie acting, to be honest. Like even the worst offenders like are about as good as anybody that you get around this time period, which is like that's not a positive.
yeah,
And that's not an excuse. It's just like I don't know. I see a lot of this stuff, so I'm kind of used to it. But
yeah.
I do tend to agree with you, especially about and maybe it's also a writing issue that this leading lady is not emotional enough over the death of her ex boyfriend.
Well, I kind of said all of that to just drive the point home that she's a block of wood.
Yeah,
She's just
yeah,
a block of wood. That's her acting, and I don't know. I don't remember her performance from Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, which I really like. I like that movie. If I'm thinking of the right one, I think I'm thinking that's the fourth one. Not Caesar, not Andy Serkis Caesar from the CGI monkeys.
yes.
These are the monkeys
This is
in
Roddy
costume.
McDowell Caesar.
Roddy McDowell Caesar, who is fantastic. I like Conquest a lot. It's a dark movie, and I really like it.
Yeah,
Uh, we might cover those movies someday. Oh,
I hope so.
we might cover those movies. Not maybe in this, not in Sasquatch Cinema, but maybe another idea we have. Anyways, back on track. I don't remember her performance from that, anyways, I think that was she was my major issue in the film,
Hmm.
and I feel bad because she's the only woman in the film,
Yeah,
and I don't want to be like, oh, like she was bad for whatever reason, but it could be just from a writing standpoint
yeah,
that she wasn't given enough to do. Maybe she didn't get like since this was Jerry's first film, he didn't really know how to direct his actors to emote like he needed them
yeah.
to.
It is important to maybe bring it forward that so all of the actors were cast from the Pasadena Playhouse and small theatrical companies around
Ah,
LA. So there's a possibility that you know she was just maybe an underperforming member of one of those troops, and he got what he could get out of her.
yeah,
I'm not gonna lay this 100% at her feet. She seems to have a fairly prosperous career
exactly.
in like character parts and bit parts and stuff like that, and that's nothing to be ashamed of if you can make a living out of it. This is also, I think, her first movie, so everybody,
Okay,
like
yeah,
most people, probably suck in their first movie.
yeah, mhm,
So, what are you gonna do? And also, like Jerry probably wasn't the best director in the world for like actors, so like I don't know.
yeah,
But that being said, I think I can agree with you on the acting. I definitely agree with you. I think Varga is the actor playing Varga definitely the best in the group, and he certainly had the most wide ranging career. Strangely enough, the actor playing Dr. Erickson, this is the only thing he did,
hmm,
at least in cinema. So like maybe he did something on TV, maybe he did some more stuff on stage. I think like he seems like he'd be a good actor to watch on the stage,
yeah.
personally.
He gave me theater as soon as you mentioned like a lot of actors were cast from a theater company. He gave me theater vibes.
Yeah,
He feels like a theatrical, not theatrical, a theater or like play actor, Shakespearean actor, maybe
I
even
could see him as King
like
Lear or
King
something.
Lear, like that. Yeah, I because I thought he did a very good job
He
of
also looks like Walter White.
look, yeah, his costuming makes him look like Walter White with the glasses, the goatee. He's given it's black and white film, but he's given like a poncho. Oh, in Himalayan mountains, a poncho. But he's given a poncho. Oh, that because it's black and white, it's like white, but it kind of how he wears it looks like Walter White wearing his like hazmat suit when he's making meth,
Yeah.
with the glasses and everything. So, which that's a funny little tidbit.
Mm-hmm.
And in the remake of this film, we can get Bryan Cranston to play the suit Dr. Erickson.
That'd be fantastic. He actually is a monster kid. Like I
Yeah,
think
he is.
Bryan
Yeah,
Cranston likes like old monster movies. I don't want to give too much positivity to the cinematography is like okay. I will say I
yeah,
liked, and I think this is unintentional, but I liked the shots where they were at night and just against a black background.
yeah.
And also when they were in the caves against a black background. I liked that. I thought that was atmospheric. There is one very effective shot, and it's so simple. Two characters are talking about the Yeti, and then we pan up, and a Yeti's watching them.
Yeah.
Like that actually gave me a little jump scare. I don't know why. I think maybe like I just wasn't expecting it. And the Yeti costume, I mean, we need to talk about this. The Yeti costume, I think, is great.
My complaint of the snow creature was the costume of the Yeti was not white.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to Steven while we watching this movie, if his costume's not white, like it, because in the poster, it's brown.
It is brown.
If this costume's not white in this film, I'm going to be upset because I'm very stickable when it comes to like fur and stuff like that in movies because Yetis have white fur. One, that's part of their mythos. Two,
Yeah.
it makes complete sense because they need to be able to blend in with the snowy background.
Exactly.
And it is mostly white. Like there's some like darkness and like near the end of the fur, but that's okay. That's okay because you could argue that that's how they also kind of blend in with the rocks too, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I think the costume's great, except I have one issue with the costume:
Give me your issue.
the face.
Yeah, it's
It
weird.
it's weird. I
It's not
don't know.
humanistic at all.
No, not humanistic. It doesn't feel like I'm looking at a Bigfoot type figure or a Yeti.
Doesn't
I
even really look like an ape.
This is looking like looks disfigured, which I don't know why that is. Because something could have happened in production that caused it to be permanently like that for the rest of the shooting. I don't know why it's like that.
I wonder if part of it is that little bit that actress playing the Yeti mentioned where she didn't quite fit into all of the costume. She said that like some of the like rubber parts, the lining and stuff, she was so small that she couldn't fit into it. So like the costume was bigger than she was. I wonder if that has something to do with it. Like maybe she didn't fill out the face,
Yeah.
or maybe they had to put something in the face to hold it up. Or maybe just when they were redesigning the White Pongo costume, they just did a bad design on the face,
Yeah,
which is
it's very
very
possible.
detrimental. I didn't notice it so much. It was weird looking, but I kind of just left that to it's weird 50s monster movie stuff. But I understand. I definitely get your complaint on that. It doesn't look Bigfoot like, doesn't look Yeti like. The skin of the Yeti, I think, always has sort of been portrayed as being like pinkish, and it's definitely a sort of like darker brown in this.
I've seen it being treated like be darker brown or be like almost black,
Yeah,
or something like the rocks, right? So I've seen a variety of like interpretations of the skin color. I'm not as like upset about the skin color of like the Yeti when it comes to like their skin tone.
yeah,
I'm more focused on the fur and the hair being white because they gotta blend in with the snow. Because
yeah,
Bigfoot, that's or Sasquatch, he's brown 90% of the time because brown blends in with the forest background of the woods and
for sure.
whatnot. So that's why I consider like fur to be the most important part of a Bigfoot or Yeti costume. That needs to be important.
Yeah, and it's a small thing for me anyway. But overall I liked the suit. Overall I liked the acting in the suit. It was fine. It wasn't. It was a little bit more like sort of shambling monster,
Yeah,
rather than the real like sort of uh, realistic ape performances that we get in like our guy in gorilla suit episode.
this one, like you say, or keep saying, like this monster felt like a 1950s monster movie.
Yeah.
Because the monster doesn't really do anything except for walk forward a little bit sometimes
Mm-hmm.
and look menacing.
Yeah. Sometimes pop out from the snow, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
pop out from behind a rock or the snow. Yeah.
Which I was just thinking, maybe that's why they have them like sitting down or like creeping out so often, because she was so short that maybe they had to like make it look like they were
Mm,
buried in the snow or something like that. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's a funny aspect of it. But I liked some of the cinematography. I liked the costume. I did enjoy some of the acting. There's not really a whole lot more to mention. There's a lot of hiking, a lot of rock climbing in this movie.
So
I liked it,
yeah.
but I understand why some people would consider it boring. To me, that just feels like Poverty Row kind of stuff, and this is like past the Poverty Row period. But like we mentioned before, there's so much of that sort of swirling around this movie and interjecting with the sort of emerging independent cinema movement that it kind of just makes sense that it's like this. So I liked it. It's also only 60 minutes.
Yeah.
So like you can I've heard of some people on old movies putting it on like 2 times speed. You could frankly do that
Yeah.
if you wanted to.
That would be fun. I mean, it would be fun. 30-minute movie. Boom.
Yeah. But, I liked it fine in terms of like technical qualities. I think just overall this has a fun vibe.
Yes.
Like we've mentioned before several times. It's just 50s monster movie. It feels that way. The acting is sort of in line with that. The costume and the monster performance is like that. I loved the Varga performance. I think this is a solid 3, and just sort of the resourcefulness
Oh
of
yeah.
Jerry Warren, like using that stock footage. Now I know a lot of people hate stock footage in movies. I've gotten used to it. This happens a lot in old monster movies and
Yeah.
genre movies of this time period and before it. And everybody goes all crazy over how much they love the monster movies from the 30s and everything else is garbage. Well, guess what? If you see a monster movie from the 1930s and it's got scenes from a jungle or an island or something, they're using stock footage. That's just part of it.
Yeah.
And in here, the stock footage is well integrated. The stuff that they did actually shoot is fine and well shot. There's like some legitimate suspense. Like we didn't even talk about the fact that they seem to be doing some actual rock climbing.
So before I give my rating, I want to kind of make a comparison.
Yeah.
So last time we talked about the snow creature,
First Yeti movie in America.
first Yeti movie in America, and we didn't like it.
Yeah, very bad.
This movie, despite its faults, it felt like a breath of fresh air compared to that movie. Actually doing Yeti stuff, actually staying in the Himalayas, and not doing anything crazy, like taking the Yeti to the city or anything. This, honestly, is great. And also, I love the idea of themes that it has that it wrestles with. Now, are they perfectly done? No. But I think overall, it's a really good and really fun Yeti romp.
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you.
So just to give an example, like in the snow creature, there's shots of them walking, stock footage probably of people walking and doing all these things, right? And walking. And this one, the editor and the composer and the director at least tried to make the scenes of rock climbing and walking suspenseful and like exciting and entertaining.
For
Like
sure.
they knew that like if we do too much of it at once, people will get bored. If we don't cut enough, if we don't do like stuff. So the stock footage is well integrated into it, and you can commend, I think, the editor or editors for doing that. So bravo. 3 big feet out of 5. I almost wanted to give it like a 2.5.
Yeah.
And that's mostly because there's just a few things that bug me. But I think overall, just enjoyment of a movie, it's definitely a 3. Like 3 big feet out of 5, because it's a perfectly fine movie and enjoyable.
I want to mention one more thing while we're on the resourcefulness of Jerry Warren. Mostly because I just thought this was a fantastic story. Fits right alongside some of the stuff that we've talked about before. Anytime that they needed a scene where it really looks like it's in Tibet, it was all shot on a major studio lot. We don't know which one. And how did they get access to it? They climbed over a fence into the studio lot. I know, yes, it's an illegal act, whatever. Bravo.
That's called independent filmmaking, man.
That is independent filmmaking, man. That is what it is. You're not shooting with permits. You're not like getting permission from people. Better to ask for forgiveness than permission on that. Yep. Go ahead and do it, man. This is like, there is an element of this that is actually inspiring. You know, and yeah, it's just a silly little monster movie from the 50s, but it's fun. And we had a good time. 60 minutes. Come on, man. Like, you've got an hour. You can watch this. Fall asleep to it when you're watching it late at night.
Perfect background party movie. If you got like a Halloween party, throw it on. You got a Christmas party, throw it on.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
So yeah, we recommend this movie. Please go watch it.
I think this is now the time to bring this back. Are you convinced yet, Isaac, that the Yeti exists?
No, it doesn't look like a Bigfoot or Sasquatch face. It's not a Yeti.
I am man-beast, hunter of elk, lover of women, sovereign of the moon.